Every actor loves Act One because this is our only chance to say, okay, you've seen this story 50 times, you've never seen it with me.
In 2009, a 29-year-old broadly acknowledged as the sexiest man alive had an idea. Nearly 2 decades into a hugely successful acting career, Matthew McConaughey found himself pigeonholed as a romantic comedy leading man and longed to fortify a more meaningful legacy.
Dude, this script is hot shit. I can't wait to hear what comes out of this Rustin Cole's mouth every second, you know? The sirens are blaring.
So, at the height of his career, he retreated from Hollywood, both physically and figuratively, moving back to his home in the state of Texas and refusing roles that didn't match his artistic vision.
Things you can learn from the algorithm, but it's just telling you by numbers what the people want. And actually, when people go to art, they want you to give them something they didn't know they wanted.
After 2 years away from the movie industry, he returned in the 2010s with a series of iconic dramatic roles, culminating in an Oscar-winning performance in Dallas Buyers Club.
You know, the old, don't fly too close to the sun or your wings will melt. And I was like, I kind of think more of us should be flying closer.
More recently, McConaughey has become a best-selling author and tequila entrepreneur and stars in the Apple Plus original The Lost Bus, continuing to find new platforms and outlets to express his expansive and ever-expanding worldview. And it all started with one idea. Well, thank you for joining us on Idea Generation.
My pleasure.
Very much appreciate this. Your rebrand, you know, at the end of the aughts, beginning of the 20-teens, is quite famous. But I'm curious, what part of your career did you actually become conscious of having a brand?
Right. Good question. Well, I had a romantic comedy brand before that. I had a brand, look, I get out of the gate, bam, I come out an independent, Dazed and Confused. Some people saw it, more people have seen it since, but it was enough, it got me in with the meetings to go get an agent who can give me access to other jobs. Time to Kill, bang, I'm starring in a major Warner Brothers film, John Grisham novel, lead. Was a bit of a brand, but even from that, I kind of pivoted back and went and played a co-star role or number 2 on the call sheet role with Jodie Foster in Contact. Didn't take the next lead that was there. Went and did an ensemble with Spielberg and Amistad, right? Newton Boys. After those 3, following Time to Kill, people were like, whoa, you had a brand here, why'd you go do those? Well, I wanted to at the time, and they weren't all huge box office successes. They were, but I was happy I did them and got to work with some amazing people. And then sort of found romantic comedies, and that became a lane I owned, and that became sort of my brand, along with, you know, 6-page spread of the 6 different beaches I was on the last week without my shirt on.
Sexiest man alive.
It was like rom-coms. He looks like he rolls out of bed and just goes, hey, pulls up on a motorcycle, what's up? But it became such a brand that no one considered me for other dramatic roles, which I was looking for. When I wrote back in Green Lights, my life was getting very vital at the time. I met the woman I fell in love with. She was pregnant, about to become a dad. Or any fathers out there know, any parents know, you get your first coming, man, you're like, life is vital. And so I was like, well, I want my work to challenge the vitality of my life. And if I can't do what I want to do, then I'm gonna quit doing what I was doing. So that's when I rebranded. So I was understood that brand, and now I had to stop doing that to try and rebrand. And then those dramas came. I jump in them. I wasn't thinking about my brand, but I was sure as hell doing what I was wanting to do. And they were coming at me, and I was ferocious about attacking them, you know.
I'm curious, what would you say are sort of the most important things that you've learned from characters that you've played?
You gotta know your monologue to have a dialogue. Everybody, life, performances. You gotta know who you are before you're gonna attract people that you wanna be around. You know, say that to the kids all the time. I've gotta know the identity of my character to go into a scene and have a relationship with someone. whoever in that scene, because I got to know who I am first. Even if knowing who I am, even if part of knowing who I am is like, what this guy knows. He doesn't know who he is. That's still knowing something. And this guy's lost. I know I'm lost. Okay. You know you're, okay. That's still grabbing onto something. You know, still going in with some identity. Even if it's connected to going, I'm lost. I'm searching for my identity, you know? Know your monologue to have a dialogue. Yeah.
You have The Lost Bus coming out very shortly on Apple Plus. You've talked a lot in the past about the idea of launchpad lines.
Yeah.
And I was curious in watching the film, thinking about Kevin, what was the launchpad line that you locked in on?
It came from director and writer Paul Greengrass, and it didn't come at the beginning. It came about 3 weeks into 3 weeks into shooting. And it was this: I was too late as a son, now I'm too late as a father. That was where Kevin, for me personally, was stuck. And so, well, if you're stuck there, you never completed either side, you know, the childhood side with your relationship with the father, or the fatherhood side, relationship with your son. And what a nasty trap to be in on your possible deathbed. And you hope you get a second chance, which I won't tell you what happens in the movie, but we'll see. Do I get creatively blocked? I don't know if I get creatively blocked. I've got times where I don't feel as creative. Like for me, to feel creative, to have no finish line on my creativity and freedom of my thoughts, I also need freedom of time. Meaning, oh, I'm working on a book, but I've got this 12 o'clock meeting and I have this 4 o'clock meeting. Well, between 1 and 4 o'clock, I'll have 3 hours to go write. No, because it's got a curfew. And I find that I at least need like an 8-day window of there's no curfew, there's no clock, there's no rules, full-on freedom, no curfew. I need about 8 days, and that's when I could really get in the flow, knowing that I have that, I don't have a return ticket till way down the road. I do not feel creative and do not get creative when I have a return ticket that's in the immediate future.
Obviously, your life pivoted and changed quite a bit during this, say, 20-year period.
Yeah.
The industry also shifted quite a bit. You know, sort of, your career came to maturity during peak VHS and DVD sales, and you know, box office, and we are now in a streaming era in which sort of the attitudes and decision-making processes at the studios has totally shifted. How has that changed sort of how you think about the projects that you make, and then how those projects are actually made?
Yeah. I'm still chasing good story, good character. That was the decision to go to True Detective. When people like Woody and I weren't really going down to do TV, and there was the conversation, wait, you're gonna go do the small screen now? And I was like, dude, this script is hot shit. And I can't wait to hear what comes out of this character Rustin Cole's mouth every second, you know? The sirens are blaring, you know what I mean? And then it was like, well, should we consider this that it's small screen? Yeah, we considered it for about 12 seconds. Boom, don't worry about it. I want good story, good character, let's stick to that. So that was around the beginning when a lot of people did start transitioning, and some arguably best dramas became now on TV. What scares me about this, not scares me about the stream, what's happening with the streaming is you go on and you look through the profile of the library on Apple or Netflix or these streaming services, and you come across these, it's one of my favorite actors. Oh, when did they make this movie? Oh, that was 2 years ago. I didn't even know. There's not a, and if things go straight to streaming and you lose what a lot of the streamers are pushing for now, which is like, let's just go straight to streaming. Forget the theater, you know? And you gotta bust your tail to try and get a couple weeks in the theater before you go to stream. But that couple of weeks in the theater does put it in a different vernacular in the populace with success, that it has a bit of exclusivity. There might have been, even if you have the premiere or not, there's the idea that maybe there was a red carpet premiere in Hollywood. And it's something that on Friday night is the only night I can go spend time with that story, with those actors, with that director's movie. And then, Yeah, it's great to have it where I can get it in my living room anytime. But the idea that we have the access to get it in the living room right away, a lot of the storytelling, in my opinion, has been abbreviated, especially first acts. Act ones are way too abbreviated for my taste now. And the idea being, oh, everyone's attention span's shorter. We've seen every story. Let's just get them, say hi, get them started, and bam, introduce the conflict on page 12. Look, maybe I'm being a dinosaur, but I don't think so, and I'll stick to it anyway. Yeah, every actor loves Act One. Why do we love Act One? Because this is our only chance to say, okay, you've seen this story that's about to unfold 50 times, you've never seen it with me. Act One's where I get to introduce you about how it's going to be a different journey with me and the actors that you're meeting in Act One. That's where it becomes an original tale. That's what was so awesome about doing a series like A True Detective. You got a 3.5 episode Act One, 3.5 hours, over 100 pages to just set up who you are before major conflict starts and you get in your Act Two. So now that Act Ones are abbreviated and it's like, introduce conflict, we know, we've seen it before, glad to be doing it with y'all, but let's get on with it. I like a longer Act One. Selfishly as an actor, but also as a viewer in a storytelling. I still believe in, no, set me up originally. No, set the table for me where I'm seeing it from a little different, even though I know I kind of know where the story's going. Introduce me how this is new and original through the people that I'm going through it with. The other thing that happens now is you and I agree on an idea and a story we want to tell. Okay, we agree now. Let's set the date for this idea. We're going to start shooting February 6th. And tomorrow, 20 people are hired to start writing towards that date. Whoa! The other way used to be, no, we like an idea. Now we work it. We write it. When we got a script and a story, we approve and we get it financed. We show you. Now we set the date. Oh boy, and I don't like writing or aiming towards something. Here's the start date, but we haven't put pen to paper yet. But we're trusting we will. It can pull it off, but I don't like that. Talk about earlier when I was saying I don't like curfews creatively. That's a curfew for me mentally. It's like, I don't know. That creative process has to have a date that we have to want to start on before we have even the creative done or the script's approved. Puts a little. It stunts my creativity a little bit.
Have you seen sort of the imposition of like algorithmic considerations in the creative process?
The algorithm. The algorithm will tell us. Hey, there's things you can learn from the algorithm. But here's what that'll stunt. It stunts creativity because it's just telling you by numbers what the people want. And actually, when people go to art, people don't really want what they want. They want you to give them something they didn't know they wanted, or something they may need that they didn't notice they needed. They don't want to be pandered to. And I think audiences can smell it. If you're going like, oh, you're giving me what I want because, yeah, the algorithm told you that. And the algorithm's true. Yeah, but 6 or a half dozen, having another one of those. All right, thanks. Connected the dots. But didn't necessarily transfer or share any magic.
Some of your most iconic moments have been improvisational. You've also talked about how you have this incredible reverence for writing, screenwriting, and that to sell you on a movie, you have to read scripts over and over and over in various environments.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm curious, how do you balance that sort of reverence for the material and then your own ability to sort of riff off of it and collaborate?
Right. Good improvisation is not, you're not making it up. It's from that text. When a performer improvises something, does it well, it's a major compliment to the writer because it's coming from what they gave you, you know? Like I said, launchpad lines. I mean, Wooderson, Dazed and Confused. That's what I love about those high school girls, man. I get older, but they stay the same age. Who is that guy? Look through that lens of someone who believes that. That's their credo. Look through that lens. That's their ambition. That's their reality. Look through that lens. Tell you know where you're going and where you're not going. Wolf of Wall Street. Secret to this game is cocaine and hookers. Now, what if that's not a line? What if that's like listen to me, engrave this, tattoo this under your eyelids. The secret is cocaine and hookers. When you're talking to a guy about brokering, I mean, look through that lens. So then that leads to, okay, this guy's swinging. Where's he coming from? Man, he's up there in the clouds a little bit. Things start, coming, and then you start improvising. And then, it's nice to work with directors that go, I like working with directors I love good text. Look, True Detective, I improvised maybe one line in 8 episodes. The writing was just hot shit across the board. And I'd have some things, and I'd go, Nick, and he'd be like, no. And he goes like, no, that's really good, but that's not what Rustin means. And then so a lot of times he would have to explain again, oh, you're right. Yeah, I got it. I didn't understand what it actually meant. Therefore I went to go make something up, but now I understand what this means. That is better, or more true to Rustin Cole. I mean, not every character's, do you need a lot of improvisation? But you get something like working with Scorsese on it. He's very musical. But the words, just the fringe on his carpet. I did that for him. I pitched him that scene. I did the scene the day before, and he just kind of giggled and said, "Did you say the thing about the thing and the thing about the thing?" I said, "Yes, sir, I did. He goes, "Okay, do that." And then we were off. Pow, So I enjoy working with directors that have a musical sense, because it's not about, I don't care about that exact lyric, that exact line. I got to get from here to here, and I want to see the life coming out. And as much as I love words, it's part of what I enjoyed about writing a book. That's just words that I didn't have a performance. Those words have to paint a picture and bring you in just with the word, without my voice, without my body and movement. But when you're acting, if you're too locked in on just the words and you don't follow through on what is happening to the entire body and being, how you move, how you breathe, how you look, how you listen, you may you may connect the dots with the performance and go, it was good. It all added up. But it didn't take me with it. I just saw life happen, which is when great performances happen. That's what I think happens. That's what I love about them. It's like they take me somewhere, and I go, my best performance, I'm like, they're maybe completely fictional. I'm like, this is a biography. Who is this guy? Who is this woman? It's closest to a documentary. And that was all made up? Wow, bravo. Where do my ideas come from? I'm not looking for most any of my ideas. I'll have a certain rhythm going through the day, and life will reverb something back at me, and it'll continue the tune that I've got going in my head. And sometimes that's a line to bumper stickers. Sometimes it's just an aphorism, and I go, oh, if I could deconstruct that. Sometimes it's a lyric. Sometimes it's an album cover and an ideal. Sometimes it's something someone will say at dinner, or just passing by, overhearing something, and it'll be a thought starter for me, and I'll come back to it and look at it and see if I get turned on to write more about that theme.
I often ask people on the show about the role that their parents played in informing their ambition, and this is something that is well documented both in your book and in many of the interviews that you've done. How has being a father, and particularly being a father of teenagers or about to be adults, sort of informed your career ambitions or your thoughts around professional life?
Look, every actor wants a real major obstacle to overcome that they need, there's something they need even more than the obstacle can stop. The best ones are life, death, extinction. That's if you want to start at home base, that's the best one. Right after that, for me, especially after having children, is protect your own children. Every parent out there understands that feeling. There's a non-negotiable. You stop everything. You would die for them. Yet that's the place to ask. Every actor, when you want something, what's the obstacle that I would die to overcome? That's a great question to be able to answer. So, you have kids, everyone knows that you start living for the future before you have children. You're not really living for the future as much, or at least in a mature and contextual way as you are when you have children. You're always shepherd. Even now, my kids aren't here, but I'm the shepherd. Your children and kids are dependent on us. To be depended on is an awesome, gnarly privilege.
being an artist and a creative requires a certain amount of selfishness.
Yeah.
And in reading your books and seeing your interviews, you talk a lot about sequestering yourself, going on sort of walkabouts and these things. Being a parent obviously requires absolute selflessness. And I'm curious, how do you think about sort of navigating that balance?
Well, luckily I have a wife who comes to me and goes, you need to get the fuck out of here. You need to pack up the truck. Take your steaks, take your pantalones, take your water, get out of here, and don't call me. Of course that means I'm calling, but to head out and, to give myself a week or boom, a weekend here, gather and corral the thoughts of the notes I've been taking over the last month. If I can give me 48 hours and go to the lake house or something. I just did this the other day. I came back. She was like, oh, look at you, you're light. I'm like, yeah. I needed that. I was going, well, I got something there, but I don't know what it is. And I went out to Lake House and I corralled them all. I said, oh yeah, okay, I see a story here. In the last month that you put something together. I needed that. That's a good example for them. To see mom or dad go off to work. Where's Papai? He's off. He's got 5 days away on his own. And we talk to him all the time about, man, get kiddos. It's tough, but there's one person you need to be able to hang out with. Reservations for one. You're gonna need that in life, because do whatever. If you're not enjoying your company, that means you probably need to spend more time with yourself until you can shake hands with whatever the hell's bugging you. Even high school. What'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went and saw this movie. Oh yeah, who'd you go with? Just me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going, no. I'm not being a hermit. I'm not being antisocial, but I preferred to go by myself. Or I go out to dinner and someone goes, well, who are you with? Nobody. Why didn't you call us? Well, I really kind of preferred, I wanted to go have a reservation for one. I needed it, Just people watch, take the journal with you, have a one-on-one with the sushi chef is awesome. You know what I mean? Whatever that is, that one-on-one time I think is a good example to show how my children as well.
One of the other recurrent themes in sort of your life and career I've seen is the significance of travel in framing your creativity. And it seems like a lot of your inspiration has come from sort of creating specific environments outside of the everyday.
Yeah.
How do you think about, sort of framing those moments?
It flips the coin. You pop out of what you know and you're looking back at it. You also all of a sudden have an objective view of maybe who you were, or who you are at the time. When you're subjective, you're never looking at the jumbotron. But to pop out and have that God's eye view, well, now let me see if I'm actually who I think I am. If I'm actually doing what I think I'm doing. If I'm actually moving how I think I'm moving. You know what I mean? So that objective view gives us context. Now, for me, I don't like to stay in that objective view too long. I don't think any creative likes to stay in that objective view too long. Enough to throw me off balance until I can find my balance again and get very subjective, which is where I think real creation comes from. When we don't give a damn about consequences or permission or how we look doing whatever. That's where I think every creative loves to be. But to pop out and have the objective view and go, well, is how I'm feeling subjectively actually matching what I'm feeling actually match what it looks like or what it's coming across as? And it doesn't always. Every 13-year-old's diary is not art. It may be honest, but it's not art. You know what I mean? So just to say, oh, well, I'm so honest, therefore it's art. No, that's not true. So a lot of times you're like, this is so good. And I've looked at it and you're like, go, yeah, I get it. It's raw, it's good, but it doesn't translate. It's not going to translate to you or other people. So I need to rewrite that. You know what I mean? It may be, I remember that it captures the feeling, but the writing's not good. You know what I mean? So how can I keep the feeling, but also write it in a way where, oh, it translates. You can understand it and make it personal, and so can they. That's, I think, when you're getting good art. Same with the performance. You want it to be extremely personal, but you still want to have it be personal to an extent that it's allowing the viewers to see themselves in you. That's when it becomes a collective. So in that translation, I think somewhere in there is a pretty good definition of what I think good art is.
How do you know when you're in that flow state?
I can feel it But I can also become overconfident with it. You know, what's awesome about working with a director, that you really respect their opinion and they have a similar measure of the truth or excellence. You go, hey, give me one more like this. Oh, okay, yeah. Then boom, go to the monitor, you go, so glad you asked me to do it. That's it. That's it. I thought I had, yeah. Thank you. That objective eye, that's what that director is, right? Then personally, I just let myself go all the way to going, I know it is, and get absolutely arrogant with myself. That I am crossing genius. and don't even argue, and go to that extent, and go that far. And then let myself come back maybe, with humility and a sober eye later, weeks later, and have a look and go, okay, while you let yourself ride so high and get so close to the sun and said, no, these wings ain't melting. Let's have a look at it. Sometimes I'm like going, that is pompous God identity. Bravo for the courage, bro. But no, that doesn't fly. It actually sounds so self-indulgent. It's not. No. Other times, I'm like, you're on direct line there, Pods. Right on. Oh, I got some insight off of that. That was scary stuff. That's scary stuff. But then other times, I go, fraud. But I've tried to give myself the courage on usually those times where I go away for some time. Go ahead. If we get there, go. Don't stop. You know, the old, don't fly too close to the sun or your wings will melt. And I was like, I kind of think more of us should be flying closer because we're turning back down earthbound when it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not even close to melting the wings, you know? So to let myself do that and stay in that zone, sometimes I come at it with some really great stuff where it's not me talking. Divinity was talking through me and it was coming out, you know?
I know you've said in the past that early in your career, you had a tough time and actually avoided watching your own performances. What was the process to cultivate that sense of confidence that you're talking about? To cultivate the sense of confidence that you have, that you now sort of inhabit or exude?
Well, preparation's one. I prepare. So when I come and it's time to go, we're live, I'm fully loaded. That helps. That doesn't always mean I'm making magic, but it at least keeps me from telling lies on screen. You know what I mean? And sometimes scenes you're like, I'm not feeling it, so let's just get out of here without telling a lie. Let's just connect the dots and get through this scene. I'm not feeling magic. And sometimes that's because the writing's not good. Sometimes that's because you're just personally off. What you hope to do, what feels great, is when I'm prepared and to go there and throw it all away and some magic happens. Look, I've learned over the years tricks to get myself out of a funk. Maybe if I'm locked up or locked onto something. I've learned tricks to get me out of feeling too secure in a scene. I had this great teacher, great mentor, Penny Allen. She was like, Matthew, you always come into a scene like just solid. She was like, no. Come into the scene on one leg and find your balance in the scene. That's life happening. It's like, there we go. That's a courageous thing to do. Thank you. So I've learned some tricks, and I've learned that, you know, when I'm nailing it, I can feel it now. Bam, nail it. And look up the director, and the director's like, yeah. The next one to go, all right, don't repeat that. That we know that worked. Don't repeat that. Don't mimic that. Let's have another event. Let's, you know, we've got a few things we know we got to hit. We got to end up here, and here by the end of the scene. But don't worry, don't forget how you're going to get to any of those places. And let's go, another take. So then I'm having an experience with each take. Then I'm having an experience on the day on set. Then I'm having an experience when I go have a performance in a film. And it's also an experience that I have when I'm writing, because I'm playing, I didn't notice this until a couple of years ago, I'm playing every character I write in my head. I go subjective to them and write to their voice that I'm playing. So I guess I got that from the acting. Do I ever doubt myself? Often. Yeah. All the time. You know, and a little bit of doubt I think is good for me. You know, not too much, because too much doubt can paralyze us. But sometimes we have to get passed out. It's just saying, boom, you know what? Quit preparing, quit rehearsing this damn thing. Press record, let's go, let's find out. And usually that'll turn out to be okay.
In the past, you had said at one point you were paring back endeavors outside of, your core function of acting because you felt like you were doing a lot of things at a B level.
Too many campfires.
Yes. But in the last 5 years, you have sort of found a renewed spirit and you have a number of tech startups and also a tequila brand, Pantalones organic tequila. I'm curious, what reignited that fire and how do you manage this portfolio of assets?
Yeah. I'm not really heeding my original advice, am I? taking on quite a few things. I wonder if I should pull back and just turn some of those campfires into bonfires. Look, I got the entrepreneur spirit and into the tech world, and it was a really interesting adventure for me and some people I got around and got to learn a lot from. Like on the liquor, on the Pantalones front, that was really organic because that's what my wife and I's favorite drink is. That's what we actually take a sip of when we're gonna have a drink. So then we just said, well, what if we made our favorite tequila we ever made? Hey, that sounds fun. Partner with somebody, took 2 years, 47 tasting tests to end up to get that juice that's in that bottle now in the Reposado. We're like, that's it. That's our favorite tequila. We did it. Then we said, okay. Now that we've got great juice in the bottle, you notice how people have been talking about tequila, kind of like connoisseurs? Like, I don't mind that juice, man. Why is everyone getting so damn serious about tequila? Tequila's supposed to be fun. So we said, we got great juice in the bottle. Now let's take our proverbial pants off and have fun. So we made this funny, silly marketing campaign that we're running with. And we got great juice in the bottle at a great price point. And my wife and I almost didn't do it together. She was hesitant about coming face forward in business together because she's always been we're a part of each other's business, but we've never been face forward together. And she was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Marriage is going well without us doing it this way. We said, it's tequila. If we are not having a good time selling this, then we're doing something wrong. So we did it together. And that's on our desk every Monday. And that's something that's one of the things on my desk every Monday that I do not regret having there. It is fun to sell.
What is the key to managing that partnership, both in marriage and in business?
Patience. We work different ways. I'm a momentum guy. I get an idea. I don't want to go through checks and balances and ask permissions and go be objective again to have a look at the landscape. She's very much at each stop like, hang on a second, let's look 360 again, because after we made that decision and made this move, things changed. Let's look around. I sometimes have to tell myself patience with that objective view, but I'm glad I've had it because she catches things that should be caught and notices things that should be noticed that no one else noticed, which I'm thankful for. In the business process with Pantalones. That's been the main thing.
Your career has, to this point, sort of nicely broken up into these 3 acts, but obviously you are still operating at peak powers with quite a bit to offer and to say to the world. How do you think about the next chapter or chapters?
I mean, once again, with this new book, I've got poems and prayers, like with Green Lights. In a way, I'm noticing, oh, you didn't even notice it, but you created the characters. Part of you wanted to play. Part of me that I couldn't help but not be and play. Created them in real life. Outside of that, to go do other people's work, other people's scripts, directed by other people, edited, produced by other people. I want to do quality work, but I also want to have some fun. Like I said, that can be a vacation. As hard as making Lost Bus was, with all the action and the driving and the near misses and the danger, it was like a vacation because it was a singular obsession. People are like, well, why don't you write a script? I get to page 11, get bored, and decide I'd rather put it in the form of another form of a book or something, or a song, or a poem, or a prayer. I won't be able to help to continue putting out my own personal material in whatever form. Or as far as movies go and acting roles go, probably best listen to my own advice and be an actor for hire. Because that's when I can be singularly obsessed. When I'm coming on as producer and all those other things, which I do, It's not a singular obsession. I got other hats I gotta wear, and I don't enjoy it as much. So, we'll see if I listen to my advice or not.
When you won the Academy Award in 2014, you mentioned that your hero would be yourself in 10 years.
Yeah.
We are now 11 years since that moment. Who is your hero today?
Me at 65, man. That's 10 years from now. Because I sure as hell didn't catch him at 55, 54. He seems to be the same distance away. Maybe I'm a little closer. I don't know. Yeah. Still chasing him.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Really great conversation.
Great talking to you.